Hello, everybody. This is Alia Jamal, the love coach, and we are coming here again together for another love circle. And today we are talking about nurturing unconditional self-love. I call myself the love coach. That is what I teach. This is my jam. But when we really sit down and we start really paying attention to what is self-love, what is unconditional self-love, what is self-care, these are the topics that could be so overused that we don't even get chance to really get deeper into what does it mean for me. I understand what the big concept is, but what does it mean for me? So what I am going to attempt at doing is bringing these concepts to your life, to sharing examples where you can get into your own mind and you can see what's going on, what requires shifting, are you ready to make that shift, and how to create that shift. So first, let's just look at what is unconditional self-love, why and how it's different from self-love. To me, unconditional self-love means I am safe within me. I don't have to prove anything to myself or to anyone. I don't have to justify myself. I don't have to even go out of my way to please someone else, to please me, to feel guilty. I don't have to do any of the hula hoop dances that we do in our life. It's a way of being where I can just be me. I don't have to care about how I need to look to someone else to be accepted or not. There are no conditions. I don't have to even earn my love. It's just given to me by me freely. To me, that is unconditional self-love. And why most of us are not there? Why don't we feel psychologically safe within ourselves? Why are we so hard on ourselves? We are so harsh with ourselves. The way we talk, the way we interact with ourselves, the way we think about ourselves, the kind of actions that we take when we neglect ourselves. Why is it that way? If we can understand that, we can actually undo a lot of the damage that we create within ourselves. And I personally believe that you are the most toxic person in your life. It's not other people that we need to run away from. It's ourselves that we need to resolve things with. So let's go back to our childhood between 0 to 7. Your parents are nurturing you. They are giving you food and shelter, and they want you to be successful. And now, as you're going through that upbringing, their focus is the best future for you. Now, that best future is being defined by the society standard in most households. Very few parents actually pause, think, ponder on what success means to me and for my child. So usually we just pick up whatever the narrative is. Your grade need to be good, so you can go to a better college, so you can have a better job, so you don't end up a loser. Every parent's worst nightmare, that is the fear that drive us parents, unless we are aware of what's going on inside of us. So now, if let's say I'm the parent, and it's very important for me that you do good in school, I'm going to use all kinds of tactics, comparison, judgment, guilt, shame, to make you do good, to hurt you emotionally, unconsciously, to hurt you emotionally, that it will be so painful within you that you would not even dare getting a D on your next exam. That's good parenting, according to 99.99% of people. That's good parenting. At least I didn't hit you, right? I'm not an abusive parent. So this psychological abuse that is mimicked in front of us, we pick it up. Now what's happening? The same child who was at some point in 4th grade, 5th grade, Now the child is, let's say, 28. And now they are going through like, their career and this and that. They do the exact same thing within them. They tell themselves, what is wrong with you? Why you're such a loser? Why can't you do better at your work? Why can't you get the promotion like that other person did? Why are you even here? These are all the conversations we are having in our mind. Where did we learn it? In our childhood. Now, if you didn't pick it up directly from your mom or dad, you could have picked it from your teacher. Some teachers are just not on the same page as what is good for a child psychologically. And if right now you're an adult, imagine when you were going to school, it was even different story. Now we are becoming more aware of like, okay, this is damaging to a child's psychology, let's not do that. But maybe most likely when I went to school or you went to school, that wasn't the case. Now, that is the toxic environment we carry inside of us. Our words for ourselves come from there. Our thoughts for ourselves come from there. Our actions towards ourselves come from there. If you are not taking a shower every single day and you're blaming it on your busy life, if you're not even taking care of your teeth, of your bones, of regular exercise, or pausing and thinking, am I supposed to eat something like this when my body's 40 or my body's 50? Or is it something that's suitable more for like a 10-year-old? If that is not happening, that negligence that is going on within you, those are your actions. In your actions, you're neglecting yourself. You're not loving yourself. At least your actions show that. So all that gets dictated by the program that gets into us. And the program that gets into us is hate yourself, judge yourself, feel guilty. It will get you somewhere. But that is not true. It does get you somewhere, but at a cost. You get sick because you're energetically draining yourself. So like there are more and more people getting old age, what we used to call old age sickness, that maybe happened because the body is deteriorating. We are getting them in our 20s and in our 30s. That's not normal. We cannot blame everything on our food system. We cannot just say like, there's too many chemicals in my food and too bad I cannot afford organic food. That's why I have like, this spleen issue, this liver issue, this GI tract issues. No, pay attention to your thoughts, my friend. Every single client I have ever worked with who have GI tract issues have a very, very, very big negative voice inside of them. It's not a loving or kind voice. That is the problem. We cannot just blame everything on our agriculture system. Yeah, it does play its role, but it's not fully responsible. So when we are carrying that negative, toxic environment within us, we're not loving ourselves. We are not feeling safe within ourselves. There's no room to nurture unconditional self-love because everything is conditional. For some people, even sleep needs to be earned. For some people, vacation needs to be earned. Rest needs to be earned. Everything has to have a condition. It feels like, living inside of them, it feels like you're going to a army boot camp. And I can tell you that is how I lived. Everything had to have a condition. And there was so much neglect going on that I didn't even know. So now how do we shift it? How do we take out that negativity within us and transform it to pure, compassionate love for yourself? Because when you love yourself, that is when you feel so safe within yourself that you can also love another person. You can also allow another person to love you fully. Otherwise, this is what happens. You're playing the conditional game with the other person as well. In all of your relationships, accept me, I'll accept you, reject me, I'll reject you. everything becomes transactional in life. And we would just assume, oh, I'm such a loving and giving person, just in theory. But when we really get deep down into our psychology, that's not the case. Now, this requires being very, very, very honest with ourselves. If we are not honest with ourselves, we are not really going to get anywhere into creating any kind of transformation. So getting honest with ourselves is the first key. The first step is getting honest with yourself. So now let's look at it. How do I nurture unconditional self-love within myself? Now that I understand that a lot of gunk that is going on, I picked up. It was taught to me because my parent thought that's the best thing they could do for me. And that was the best thing they could do for you, because now you get to work on your true self. You get to put in effort to meet who you are beyond all the doubts and judgment and worries and fears that you carry. Once all that comes down, who you are behind that veil. And that is a very exciting journey. So first step is awareness. Becoming aware what you think of yourself, what you say to yourself, and how you act towards yourself. Again, this is the work that only you can do. If you'll be in a session with me, I'll ask you, hey, how do you talk to yourself? When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about yourself? When you're going to sleep, what are the thoughts you're having about yourself, about what kind of day you had or what kind of productivity you had? But if I am not asking you those questions, you ask yourself those questions. And even if I'm asking you those questions, you have the choice to be honest and not be honest. You can say, oh, yeah, I tell myself you did your best. Well, in reality, every night you're telling yourself you could have done better. Why can't you? What's wrong with you? And you're going to bed with that kind of energy carrying within you. That most likely came from someone else and it's not yours. So becoming aware of what goes on within you, a really good practice to do if you're very serious about healing your own inner wounds, healing your relationship with yourself, is, just get like notepad, carry it with yourself for 3 days. Write down every thought that you're having, every thought that you're aware of. It's just going to make you so aware of what goes on in your head. We don't even realize that, we are thinking. Like right now, if I'm talking, there are 5, 6 thoughts going on in the background. I need to pause and pay attention to what is it that I'm thinking in the back of my mind. But our mind is working all the time. And if I'm right now thinking negatively about myself, that is impacting my energy. And if I'm thinking positively about myself, that is impacting my energy in a good way as well. If I'm thinking negatively about someone else, that's going to impact my energy as well. So becoming aware of how you behave in different situations. When you're feeling so overwhelmed, when you feel like you just want to run away, what is going on? Why are you feeling that way? When you go for that tub of ice cream, not a scoop in your bowl, no, the whole thing with your spoon, and you have the full intention of finishing that while watching Netflix, what is going on within you? What are you thinking? What words are you using for yourself? Do you openly call yourself stupid and dumb and idiot? Or do you say that to yourself just in your thoughts, and outwardly you're like, oh, I'm such a loving person to myself. I have mastered self-love. It happens all the time, because at the moment, like, the day and age we are living, especially in the Western world, self-love is becoming, we are using it more as a guilt and shame. Hey, you don't love yourself? You need to love yourself more. You need to love yourself enough to leave this relationship. We use self-love as like a dangling knife on each other's neck. Well, none of us know how to actually nurture that self-love. I cannot expect myself to love myself when I have all this toxicity living within me. So the first step would be to become aware. What lives within me that's not mine? It belongs to the society, it belongs to my parents, it belongs to my lineage, maybe belongs to my teachers from childhood, but it's not mine. It came from outside in. First, we need to become aware of that. And that is getting very honest with yourself, how you're thinking, how you behave in specific situations. For example, I used to think I'm a very calm person. I'm a very, very, very calm person. No matter what's going on, I can stay pretty chill. The more I looked deeper into that behavior, it's not that I was a calm person. I just knew how to hide my panic really well. That is a sign of trauma. You just become so good to pretend that you think that that's who you are. So what are the things that you've been pretending in your life? You have to become aware of that. And, I would say working with a therapist to become aware about yourself is a wonderful idea. With a counselor, therapist, whoever you can find, whatever is easy for you, based on whatever kind of insurance plan you have or whatever part of the world you are in, that's a very good idea to just become aware, because someone outside of you needs to help you see and translate your own behavior towards yourself. The words that you use, the sentence structure that you use for yourself. It's very important. So becoming aware of yourself, what's going on within you, is the first step when you want to nurture self-love. You will be doing that out of care, genuine care and compassion for yourself. But it needs to be driven by, I want to know who I am. I want to know who I am outside of this personality that I think I am. When my clients start working with me, that's one of the things I tell them. I'm like, you think you know yourself. Are you ready to find out who you are outside of this person that you think you are? That is the place of passion. That is what drives you to do this work, to become curious about yourself. That is what has driven me to stay on this path for this long and continue sharing that gift with other people. Now we are going to go to the next part. The next part is acceptance. Now, so many of us, we just want to hop over acceptance, not even focus on it. We're just going to ignore and pretend we have accepted ourselves. And we just want to get somewhere. That somewhere doesn't exist. If you're running for a destination where you would say, oh, my self-love for myself is so big now, I can stop. That destination doesn't exist. You're such a deep, unlimited being that for the rest of your living years, you'll be discovering who you are outside of the conditioning that you went through. There's some parts that will come to the surface in your 20s, some will come to the surface in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and there's some parts that will come to the surface in your 70s. For example, in 70, we really start to judge ourselves for having all the wrinkles that we have. You're not going to look at yourself with that kind of weird loading look when you're in your 30s or when you're in your 20s. So in your 70s, you have to learn to accept yourself on a very different level. So it's a continuous journey of accepting yourself. Now, what are we trying to accept here? First of all, accepting that you're not perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. You are excellent. You can say I'm, aiming for excellence. Your creation, like the way you're created or the being that you're created, is always perfect. Your soul is always perfect. But this human perfection that we strive for, that everything needs to be nice and perfect, everything needs to even cup cannot be tilted a little, it needs to be perfect. That doesn't exist. We created that to feel safe. And that creates unsafety within ourselves. Imagine if you're trying to pay attention to everything in my home needs to be perfect, right? And then you have kids. Good luck. You'll be on the edge all the time that something is not perfect. You'll be stepping on Legos in the middle of the night and just screaming your head off and creating all kinds of rules. So we have to look at this concept of perfection that we have created for ourselves and just drop it. And if it is very, very, very hard for you to drop, you can just ask yourself, who can I be if I'm okay with not being perfect? Who can I be? Just become curious. Look into the possibility who you could be if you're not being this perfect person. So we are accepting that the body, this physical experience, is never perfect, but my soul is always perfect. And it's always, always, always going to be perfect. And then the second thing that we are accepting, whatever I say or whatever I do, whoever I am as a being at any given time, that's exactly who I need to be. Now that can drive most of us on the edge, because I can think about my past and I can tell you all the time when I just spoke too much, or I said something that was out of the line or very stupid, or maybe I overshared. I can give you a bigger list than any of us you can give me, because my mind works that way too. It's always keeping track of all the wrongs that I have done. But I just became I became used to telling myself, whatever you have said, that's exactly what you needed to say in that moment. Maybe someone else was listening, or someone else needed that information, or maybe you needed to learn that that's how you talk. And now if you want to change that, we can work on changing that. But whatever you said, you did, or whatever happened was exactly what needed to happen. We forget that we are not just a physical being. We are a soul, and that soul is living through you. And that soul is taking you on a path. Sometime as a human, we are going to judge that path. But that's exactly where we need to go. Maybe you have hurted somebody and you feel very guilty about it, but that is exactly the path you were supposed to go. So when we start to nurture this level of acceptance, whatever I'm saying, whoever I'm being, whenever I'm being, is exactly who I needed to be in that moment. Now, if I don't like it, or if the environment I am in, for example, let's say I'm part of a club and, I'm not supposed to speak certain way, and I did, and now they are telling me if you speak one more time, we're kicking you out of this club. Just making up this example. Then I can ask myself, okay, do I want to work on not speaking this way because I really want to be part of the club, or this club doesn't belong to me anyway? We get to make those changes, but without judgment, because judgment belongs to outside of us. It does not belong in our home. It does not belong there. And we can put it outside, but we can be open and curious about ourselves and always ask, who do I want to be? We are literally like Play-Doh. We can make ourselves into any shape we want. But once we become aware, that's when we can create the change, but only from a place of acceptance. If we don't work on accepting each and every single part of us, and I'm not saying accepting and then not changing it, I'm talking about accepting and then asking yourself, do I want to change it? For example, sometime when body image has been a big thing in the recent years, and now as a collective, I believe we are way more aware of it or not. So there's two ways of being. For example, let's say if I'm 200 pounds, right? I can say, I just accept the way I am, and I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm just gonna eat whatever I'm gonna eat, and I'm not gonna pay attention to it. What my weight is, you deal with it. if I'm overweight, it's your problem that you don't like it, but I'm completely comfortable in my skin. So that is one way of acceptance, but that is not a loving way of acceptance, because what's happening, I'm neglecting my well-being. And no matter how many justifications we come up with, if my body is specific height and specific bone structure, extra fat weighing on it is going to start impacting my heart, my lungs, my liver, my kidneys, because they're the one who has to clean up all the burden that goes through them. So what I want to do, ideally, if I love myself, would be, okay, I accept that's my body. I accept that's where I am. I take full responsibility that, I didn't take care of myself, or maybe I was going through a very challenging part of my life and physical well-being was not on my mind. Do I have time to look after myself? Do I want to start paying attention to what I'm eating, when I'm eating, if I'm eating emotionally, or if I'm eating because my body really needs that nourishment? Now that's acceptance plus actions to change, but it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of shame. Most of us, we try to lose weight from a place of shame. There's so much competition going on in our head. I need to be the weight I was in high school. That is usually the competition going on in our mind. And I can say that because I am also one of those people. I was holding on to a pair of jeans from my high school, and one day I looked at it and I said, why am I holding on to it? If I go back to that weight, I go back to that weight. What benefits it's going to give me by getting into those jeans and just feel like, yay, I did it? No, there's no destination. Yeah, maybe I'll do it one time and then my weight will be back like 10, 15 pounds. I let it go. And I wanted to do it without putting any pressure on myself, from compassion and love. That is acceptance. There's no room for judgment. There's no room for guilt. And when you become aware and you start to accept yourself, that is when you start to taste what unconditional self-love is. And each and every one of this piece does require work. It's not going to happen overnight. There would be days you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be this aware. I'd rather just numb myself, sit there, do nothing. And that's okay too. But next day, start all over again. Because what you're going to find at the end, or towards the end, or in the process, is going to be so delicious that it's going to be worth it. It's going to be a beautiful way of living. And that is how I am discovering those parts of me as I am unfolding my healing journey. And every next step makes me want to go even further. So that brings us to our last and third point: falling in love with your soul. Unconditional self-love is the highest level of love you can give to yourself. Universe is unconditional. God is not going to say, hey, by the way, you didn't think of me today. You're not getting any sustenance from me today. No, that is not our creator. And that creator has created our soul, and that soul has come in this body, and this body has been created by universal elements coming together. So universe runs on unconditional love. Human run on conditional love, but universe runs on unconditional love. So if that is the level of love that you want to achieve or you want to get to, then you will do it through your soul. You're not going to do it from your logical mind, from going against your body, or you're not going to do it from your left brain at all. You're going to do it through your heart. When our heart opens, it's healed, it's open, we get access to our higher self. That is when you start to feel, I am something more than this body. And I need to treat my body with that love and care and attention and awareness. I cannot just keep abusing myself. I cannot just keep telling myself all these negative things that I've been telling myself. I need to make this inner world safe for me, because it's literally a temple for a divine being that's living through me. Once that awareness starts to happen, you start to see yourself with a different set of eyes. You start to experience reverence for yourself. Now, one thing that's going to happen, which is a big shift, that lifestyle that we are used to, push, push, push. I need an accountability partner to go to the gym. I need an accountability partner to do this, to do that. It starts to disappear. Now we enter into a place of allowing, being, and you don't need external motivation. Yeah, in the beginning, you need when you're in the awareness stage, you're in the acceptance stage. But when you get to coming in alignment with your soul, you just do stuff because it feels good to do it. Because when you do something good for yourself, you're coming closer to the being that you are. It's almost like falling in love with the person. That person doesn't ask you to do anything. You're buying gifts for them, you're buying flowers for them, because anything you do for them, it just feels good to do things for them. That is how you start to feel towards your soul, towards yourself. And when you look in the mirror, it feels like, I know you, I love you, I'm always going to be here for you. Tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. There's a dialogue starts to happen, and that is the level of unconditional self-love. You would always be becoming more aware. You will always be going deeper into more acceptance, and you will always be discovering who you are as a soul, and you'll be falling more in love with yourself. This nurturing of unconditional self-love is not a straight line. It's a process that you will be on for rest of your life till you leave this body, and then we don't know what happens next. But people who have truly mastered giving their love to themselves, they don't do it just one day or one moment. It becomes their lifestyle. It becomes their way of being. When, for example, I can share with from my life with you, if let's say I have this long list, right? And I got, let's say, out of 10, maybe 2 things done. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, does that mean you need more break? Am I expecting too much of you that you're not, that's not even real? I'm going to assess it, because sometimes as a trauma response or the conditioning that we went through during childhood is we expect 100 things from ourselves when we know we have a bandwidth to do only 10. But then we want to expect it from ourselves. We're going to criticize ourselves. And that's not unconditional self-love. That could be very loving and caring of yourself, that, you know, you want to live a better life, but that's not unconditional self-love, because you're beating yourself down and you're making more holes for yourself to fall into. You're making sure you'll fall into because your standard is here and your capacity is here. So I would sit down and I will just ask myself, am I expecting too much? Do I need to put only one thing on my calendar? The way I usually do, I put stuff for the whole week. I'll do my best to finish whatever I can. I would acknowledge after I do every single task, there's a lot of this going on. Good job, you did that. And then maybe if I have to move it to next week, I have to move it to next week. That's acceptance. Accepting I'm a human, I'm not a robot. Yes, I'm an infinite potential being, but right now I am getting there. Energetically, I'm still getting there. So I'm not going to act like a robot. Maybe a year from today, I'll be able to do more. I can tell you in the past 3 years, my productivity has gone so much higher. What used to take me forever to get done in like 3 years ago, I can do it in like under an hour now. There's not that much push involved because there's so much more allowing. So what I'm inviting all of you, whoever is listening, is to nurture more of unconditional love in your life, self-love, unconditional self-love, because that is when you can accept others and become aware of their toxicity that's going on within them. When I love myself unconditionally, I can love you unconditionally. Because now I'm feeling so safe within me that I don't need that safety from you in form of validation or any other way. I can make myself feel safe. So now you're free. You don't have to carry the burden to make me happy. I am doing that. Imagine what kind of beautiful relationship that is going to be. All my relationships are just getting better and better and better, easier, more fluid, because there's no tension, no expectations, no transactions going on. And that is the recipe for a beautiful, beautiful, easy life. So I'm inviting all of you to nurture more of unconditional self-love in your everyday life. And if this is the path you will like to go deeper, you really want to get to know who you are beyond this personality that you know, beyond this body that you know, I would love to be your guide on this journey. You can direct message me here on Facebook, or you can go to my website, aliajamalcoaching.com, and you can just book a free consultation there. And I look forward to talking to you. And I'm sending you all so much love. I will see you next Thursday. Sending so much love. Bye.